Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
To the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. It's time for yet another Super Week. This week will be themed around Liverpool Football Club players from the past, the present, and some other Liverpool-themed subjects. If you want to listen completely ad-free, you want early access to some episodes, and if you want access to the exclusive back catalogue, then please consider becoming a super listener on Patreon or signing up via Apple Podcast subscription. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Liverpool and Republic of Ireland goalkeeper, Caoimhín Kelleher. Before we get into this episode, on Patreon, you can now become club captains. And if you are a club captain, it means you are guaranteed a shout out on the podcast. Now, a club captain who has joined recently is William, who has just turned 7 years old and is from Waddesdon. Or is that Waddesdon? Or maybe I've got both of those wrong. Anyway, William, I'm sure you know who you are. You're a supporter of Liverpool, but your mum supports West Ham and your dad supports Ed Sheeran's Ipswich. And I know that you play for Grendon Rangers. So William, a massive shout out to you and thank you so much for being a club captain on Patreon. It's people like you and the super listeners who are keeping the podcast going and flowing. So thank you very, very much indeed. Right then. Let's get into it, shall we? On the episode on Caoimhín Kelleher. This is the story of how a skinny boy from Ireland went on to be a giant in between the posts for one of the biggest clubs on the planet. Caoimhín Kelleher was born on the 23rd of November in 1998 in Cork, Ireland, and is the youngest of 6. Caoimhín was born into a family who loved their sport. They did well in the world of football and did well in the world of hurling. His mum and dad both loved sport beyond belief, so much so that they actually taught it. And like many kids, Caoimhín took to football like a duck to water. And get this, the team which he supported as a youngster was no other than Liverpool Football Club, the club where he is today. And the club we're speaking about on this very special Super Week. However, you may well be surprised, or not, to hear that actually he didn't play in goal to start with, and for local sides back in Ireland, he was a formidable striker. And let me tell you, he was a prolific goal scorer. There were seasons where he would score 20, 30, sometimes more goals in a season. Not only was he fantastic in front of goal, but he was a goalkeeper's nightmare. How the roles have reversed these days. The time that Caoimhín Kelleher first got his shot properly in goal was when his team lost their goalkeeper days before a big game. His dad called the football coach and asked him to consider his son, the prolific goal scorer, the top striker, to be the replacement goalkeeper. I've got to tell you, there must have been some head scratching at this moment. The coach at the time said it was like asking Jurgen Klopp, or nowadays Slot, to stick Mo Salah in goal. However, he was willing to risk it. He put him in goal, and he did well. It turned out that Kelleher had quite liked the idea of being a goalkeeper for quite some time, but he didn't want to upset the apple cart, as he already had a goalkeeper, and he was worried about stepping on his toes. Kelleher progressed quickly as a goalkeeper, and one of the reasons he did is because he really enjoyed playing in that position. If you do something you enjoy and you do something you're passionate about, you will always stand out more and your game will always be better because passion fuels purpose. things were improving so much in goal for Kelleher that after just a matter of months as a young teenager playing in between the sticks, the goalkeeping scouts were out in force watching him, and if they weren't watching him, they were hearing all about him. Scouts from Blackburn, Aston Villa and Manchester United all came knocking on his door, asking him to go for a trial. But then this club called Liverpool came knocking on the door, and for Caoimhín, that was it. That was the one, the team which he had supported since a kid. There was nowhere else for him to go in his mind. So, there he was, this young lad who'd been playing football locally, and a player who had become known for being great as an outfield player and a wonderful striker, was now in between the sticks and being picked up by one of the biggest clubs on earth. Kelleher joined Liverpool Football Club in the summer of 2015, and at the time he was around 16 years old. Many people think that the hard work is done when a player or a keeper like Kelleher make it to a massive club like the Reds, but the truth is, the hard work only really starts when you join them. Kelleher worked his socks off in every single coaching session, listening to every tiny detail he was told and then working very hard to put those details into action. He was eventually training in front of a very famous mural at Liverpool's training academy. If you're not sure what a mural is, a picture mural is a big painting or a piece of artwork that covers a large section or space. Imagine drawing a picture, but instead of using a small piece of paper, you'd use a whole wall or a massive platform to do it. Murals tend to have special meanings behind them, and this one at Liverpool had all the great goalkeepers of the past, so you couldn't miss them. Previous goalkeepers have said that when you train by that mural, you feel like those legends of the past are watching you, and it makes you train harder and makes you even more focused, as one day you want to be on that mural yourself. And that is exactly how Kelleher felt. Caoimhín Kelleher did his thing and got to travel with the club abroad for pre-season matches and take in plenty of magical moments. He didn't stop trying, not for a single second. He put the effort in and it didn't go unnoticed. Eventually, he made his way into the first team. The majority of the time in the early days, Kelleher found himself on the bench, as Liverpool's first choice goalkeeper was Alisson Becker. The keeper voted alongside the other Brazilian keeper Ederson as the best keepers on the planet. Not once, not twice, but on multiple occasions. A tough first choice goalkeeper to compete with. Kelleher was on the bench for the Champions League final in 2019, and because of that he picked up a winner's medal, becoming the 12th Irish footballer ever to be a part of a Champions League winning team, and the first in over a decade. Although being on the bench is frustrating, and although he may not have been getting the game time that he really wanted, it's really important to recognise how players and goalkeepers like Kelleher still have such an impact even when they're not on the pitch. Just being there in the training ground with a great attitude, a positive mindset and being a part of a team is what makes players great, and it's what makes teams win. Kelleher would have been incredibly frustrated at times, and he may well have thought about leaving, but he stuck it out, and eventually his opportunities would come. And it's no different for anybody else listening to this. Stick at it, whatever it is, and your opportunities will come. By now, Kelleher had built up a bit of a reputation in the process for not only being a good all-round goalkeeper, but for being a very, very, very good penalty saver. He was cool and confident in between the sticks for Liverpool, and when it came to penalties, he was even better. And in the 2021-22 EFL final, it was a match at Wembley Stadium between Liverpool and Chelsea. The game ended 0-0. It was nip and tuck, and it went to penalties. Jurgen Klopp, who was the then manager, had Kelleher on the pitch in case of this very scenario. And a whopping great 22 penalties were taken that day, and in a sudden death round of penalties, Kelleher saved the day. However, he didn't save the day and win Liverpool their 9th EFL trophy by saving a penalty. He saved the day by scoring one. And then the final penalty of the game was taken by Chelsea's goalkeeper, who skied it well over the crossbar. It was another trophy on the honours list of Caoimhín Kelleher. In the same year, Kelleher was part of a team who won the FA Cup, and then again in 2024 he was the on-pitch goalkeeper in yet another League Cup final, where Liverpool beat Chelsea 1-0 thanks to a last-minute extra-time header for Virgil van Dijk. At just 26 years old, Caoimhín Kelleher has done some wonderful things in between the goal sticks, and it all really started when he went into the position he enjoyed the most. And I guess the lesson to learn from this episode is to spend more time doing the things that you enjoy. Because when you do things that you enjoy, you almost definitely will get more out of it. We'll have to do a part 2 on Caoimhín Kelleher in the next couple of years. Because for a goalkeeper so young, he's undoubtedly got many years to go at the top level of football. So remember, if you know somebody who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Football for Kids is proud to be supporting Soccer Aid for UNICEF 2025. Watch some of the biggest stars take to the pitch at Old Trafford on June 15th for yet another match which is set to be a classic. Tickets are available now via socceraid.org.uk/tickets.